No one remembered the last time the Dominion felt uncertainty. For thousands of years, their fleets had crossed the stars without resistance. Entire galaxies bent the knee before a single warning transmission. Their war doctrine was simple: appear, overwhelm, erase defiance, move on. It had never failed. Until now. The trade corridor at the edge of known space was calm. Too calm. Long lines of civilian vessels waited in silence as Dominion war fleets passed through, their massive hulls blocking the stars behind them. Alien commanders watched from their bridges with bored expressions. This system had already surrendered. Nothing remained to be done. Then every warning light turned red at once. Not one system. Not two. All systems. Sensors went blind. Communications collapsed into static. Navigation grids vanished as if space itself had been erased. Dominion officers shouted reports over one another, voices sharp with confusion. This had never happened before. The fleet commander demanded answers. Engineers found none. No energy surge. No weapon signature. No sign of attack. Just absence. Then something appeared. It was not fast. It did not tear through space with bright engines or dramatic arrival. It simply existed where nothing had been a moment before. One ship, small, compared to Dominion capital vessels. Its hull was dark, scarred, and old. No glowing symbols. No imperial markings. No known design language. The Dominion commander stared at the image in silence. One ship did not matter. Identify the vessel, he ordered. No response. The ship drifted forward, slow and deliberate, like it had all the time in the universe. The Dominion hailed it again. Then again. Multiple languages. Threat codes. Surrender demands. Nothing. Laughter spread across the command deck. Nervous at first, then confident. Someone joked it was debris. Another said it must be a lost relic, drifting on dead systems. The commander raised a clawed hand. Lock weapons. Fire a warning shot. A single Dominion cruiser fired. The blast was strong enough to crack moons. It crossed the void in seconds and struck the unknown ship directly. The explosion lit space like a newborn star. When the light faded, the ship was still there. Untouched. Not even displaced. Silence fell across the bridge. Before anyone could speak, alarms screamed again, different this time. Weapon locks disengaged. Shield controls froze. Engines failed across multiple ships at once. The Dominion commander felt something cold settle in his chest. That was when the ship spoke. Not through one channel. Through every channel. Civilian bands. Military command frequencies. Emergency beacons. Even internal fleet comms. A single voice. Calm. Measured. Almost tired. We asked you to stop. The Dominion bridge erupted in chaos. How is it speaking our language? Trace the signal. Restore weapons control. The commander demanded the voice identify itself. There was a pause. Then the answer came. This is a human warship. The word meant nothing to most of the bridge crew. Data officers rushed to their consoles, digging through deep archives, records so old they were barely maintained. They found it. Humans. Classification, minor species. Status, fragmented. Self-destructive. Threat level, negligible. Last confirmed activity, unknown. Possibly extinct. The commander let out a sharp sound of disbelief. Impossible, he said. That species never left its cradle. The human ship continued drifting closer. We will say this once more, the voice said. Turn your fleets around. Leave this system. The Dominion commander straightened. No, he replied. You are out of place, relic. Withdraw, or be destroyed. For the first time, the human voice changed. Not louder, not angrier, colder. This system is under protection. The commander laughed. By one ship. The human ship stopped moving. Every Dominion sensor flickered back online for half a second. In that moment, the fleet saw something they were never meant to see. The space around the human vessel was not empty. It was compressed. Energy folded inward, controlled so perfectly it left no signature until now. Weapon systems that did not charge, but waited. Defensive fields layered not for strength, but precision. This was not a ship built to conquer. It was a ship built to end fights before they began. The sensors went dark again. The human voice returned. You have dominated galaxies because no one ever stood in your way, it said. That ends here. The Dominion commander opened his mouth to respond. And his flagship lost power. No explosion. No damage. Just silence. One by one, Ships across the fleet followed. Drifting. Helpless. Alive. The human ship remained active. Watching. Waiting. And for the first time in recorded history, the Dominion understood a terrifying truth. This was not an ambush. This was a warning. And humanity had finally decided to be seen. Silence spread through the Dominion fleet. Not the quiet of peace, but the heavy, crushing silence of systems without power and commanders without control. Massive warships drifted like dead monuments, their lights dimmed, their weapons useless. Thousands of crews waited for orders that did not come. Only one ship still moved. The human warship remained perfectly still at the center of the formation, its dark hull reflecting distant starlight. It was not pursued. It did not threaten. It simply existed, an unblinking presence in the void. On the Dominion flagship, emergency power finally returned to limited internal systems. The bridge lights flickered on, weak and red. Officers stared at their dead consoles in disbelief. The fleet commander felt his pulse race. This was not defeat. Not yet. Restore external communications, he ordered. A technician shook their head. No response. We are isolated. The commander clenched his claws. Internal fleet channels? Also blocked. The human vessel controls them. The word human tasted wrong. Small. Insignificant. It did not match what they were facing. The commander turned to the intelligence officers. I want everything we have on this species. Now. Data cores word to life, pulling from deep archival layers rarely accessed. These were not records of enemies or rivals. These were forgotten files, species judged unimportant, cataloged, and discarded. Minutes passed. Then one officer spoke, voice uncertain. Commander, the records are incomplete. Incomplete how? Humanity does not have a full history file. Only fragments. The commander stepped closer. Explain. The officer brought up a projection. Broken data blocks hovered in the air, many corrupted by time. Humans originated in a mid-tier death world. High gravity. Unstable climate. Frequent natural disasters. Their early history shows constant internal conflict. The commander relaxed slightly. This was more familiar. Primitive, he said. Yes. They fought wars among themselves for centuries. Nearly destroyed their own planet multiple times. Murmurs of contempt spread across the bridge. The officer continued. They achieved early spaceflight, but showed no signs of galactic ambition. No expansion fleets. No contact attempts. Because they failed, the commander said. Or destroyed themselves. That was the assumption, the officer replied. Their status was marked as declining, then irrelevant. Eventually, updates stopped. The commander stared at the projection. A species that fought itself into extinction could not build what now held his fleet hostage. Then this ship is stolen, he said. Or automated. Or bluff. As if answering him, the human warship transmitted again. Your internal analysis is incorrect. The bridge froze. The voice was still calm, but now there was something else beneath it. Not anger. Disappointment. You assumed we destroyed ourselves, the voice said. That was your first mistake. The commander bristled. You are speaking without authorization. You lost authorization when you entered protected space. The commander bared his teeth. You are one ship. You cannot enforce anything. A pause followed. Then the human spoke again. We are not one ship. For the first time, the human warship moved. It rotated slowly, exposing its scarred hull. Deep grooves ran along its surface, not damage from enemies, but from use. From age. From survival. You judged us by what we were, the voice said. Not by what we became. The Dominion commander felt an unexpected chill. How, he demanded. How did a divided species build this? The answer did not come immediately. Instead, the human ship projected images directly into the Dominion bridge. Not schematics. Memories. Cities burning under human-made fire. Crowds running. Skies filled with weapons launched by their own kind. Starships destroyed by others of the same flag. War. Endless war. This was us, the voice said. For a long time. The images changed. Rebuilding. Ruins cleared. New cities are rising, simpler, stronger. Humans working together under the shadow of near extinction. We learned late, the voice continued. But we learned completely. The commander watched in silence. You saw us as self-destructive, the human said. That part was true. The images shifted again. Human fleets, not fighting each other, but standing between worlds. Shields raised. Weapons silent. Sacrifices made to save populations that were not their own. But you never asked what happens to a species that survives itself. The projection ended. The Dominion bridge felt smaller. You disappeared, the commander said carefully. The galaxy saw nothing. We chose that, the human replied. Because we understood something you did not. What? That power attracts fear. Fear attracts war. The commander scoffed. You expect us to believe you hid willingly? Yes. Why? Another pause. When we were young, the human voice said, we thought survival meant winning. Then we learned survival means restraint. The commander turned away, thinking fast. This conversation was dangerous. Words could distract. Delay. But delay might allow reinforcements to arrive. You claim restraint, he said, yet you crippled our fleet. You crossed into a civilian corridor, the human replied. You fired first. You occupy it now. We protect it. The commander's patience snapped. Enough. Restore our systems or face annihilation when our core fleets arrive. For the first time, the human voice carried something sharp. You still think this is a standoff, it said. It is not. The Dominion commander felt a surge of anger. Then what is it? It is an evaluation. The human ship extended something, not a weapon, but a signal. Across the Dominion fleet, emergency power surged back into life. Weapons did not activate. Engines did not engage. But the sensors returned. What they showed made the bridge erupt in chaos. Beyond the edge of the system, space was no longer empty. Human ships were emerging from controlled distortions, quiet, precise, countless, not forming attack lines, not charging weapons. They took positions, blocking exits, guarding planets, standing between Dominion fleets and every civilian world in range. The commander stared, stunned. How long, he whispered. How long have you been there? We have always been there, the human replied. Watching, waiting. The commander felt something crack inside him. You let us rule the galaxy. Yes. You let us destroy worlds. Yes. Why stop now? The answer came without hesitation. Because today, the human said, you fired on a protected system. The commander's voice dropped. Protected by whom? The human ship turned slightly, aligning itself between the Dominion fleet and the distant stars. By us. Silence followed. Then the human added, quietly, and we do not issue warnings twice. The Dominion commander realized, too late, that this was not the moment humanity revealed its strength. This was the moment humanity decided whether the Dominion deserved to exist at all. And the evaluation was still ongoing. The Dominion commander had faced extinction-level weapons before. He had ordered planets burned. He had watched stars collapse behind retreating fleets. He had never hesitated, never doubted, never wondered if the galaxy might answer back. Now, surrounded by silent human warships, doubt crept into him like a slow poison. The human vessels did not advance. That was the most unsettling part. They held position with perfect spacing, forming a loose sphere around the system. No tight formations. No aggressive posture. It was not a siege. It was containment. On the Dominion flagship, officers spoke in low, tense voices. Sensor data streamed in fragments, limited by human control. Every attempt to scan deeper was gently blocked, not jammed, redirected, as if a guiding hand decided what the Dominion was allowed to see. Commander, an officer said carefully, they are not targeting us. The commander stared at the display. Explain. They have firing solutions, the officer continued. But none are active. No charge buildup. No weapon cycling. Another officer added, their ships are waiting. Waiting. The word echoed unpleasantly. The commander opened a channel. Human warship, he said, forcing authority into his voice. You have demonstrated capability. Withdraw now, and this incident can be forgotten. The reply came instantly. Forgetting is why we are here. The commander bristled. You speak in riddles. No, the human said. We speak in consequences. The commander gestured sharply. You expect us to believe a hidden species can police the galaxy? We do not police, the human replied. We intervene. Against empires? Against outcomes. The commander clenched his claws. Then intervene now. Destroy us. Silence followed. Long enough for discomfort to settle across the bridge. When the human voice returned, it sounded closer somehow. More personal. You misunderstand our strength, it said. We do not measure it by what we can destroy. The human warship moved again. This time, it accelerated. Not toward the Dominion fleet, but away, toward a nearby, uninhabited moon orbiting a gas giant. The moon was large, dense, and rich in minerals. The Dominion had once planned to hollow it out for shipyards. Sensors tracked the human vessel as it approached the moon and stopped at a precise distance. The commander frowned. What are they doing? No one answered. The human ship fired. There was no beam, no explosion, no visible weapon. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the moon folded. Not shattered, not cracked. Folded inward, like soft material pressed by an invisible hand. The surface compressed, layers sinking into themselves with impossible smoothness. Gravity spiked, then vanished. In less than 3 seconds, the moon was gone. Not debris, not fragments. Gone. In its place was empty space and a faint distortion that slowly faded. The Dominion bridge was silent. No cheers, no fear screams, just stunned disbelief. The human voice returned, quiet and controlled. That was a calibrated demonstration, it said. 1% output. Localized. No collateral damage. The commander swallowed. You erased the moon. Yes. With a ship you claim is not a battleship. That is correct. The commander's mind raced. The Dominion had weapons capable of similar destruction, but only with fleets, time, and massive energy buildup. And even then, the aftermath was chaotic. This had been clean, intentional, reversible, if they had chosen so. Why show us this? The commander asked. Because you still believe force decides authority, the human replied. We need you to understand something before this escalates. Escalates, the commander snapped. You have already. This, the human interrupted, is still restraint. The commander felt a surge of anger mixed with something worse. Fear. You speak as if you own this galaxy. No, the human said. We speak as those who chose not to. The commander laughed harshly. Convenient philosophy for those with overwhelming power. The human did not deny it. Yes. The answer hung in the air. The human continued. We could have stopped you centuries ago. Your expansion patterns were predictable. Your tactics are crude. Your reliance on fear is absolute. Then why didn't you? The commander demanded. Because you were contained, the human replied. Your wars stayed within your chosen borders. You destroyed those who resisted, but you did not destabilize the whole system. The commander's eyes narrowed. Until now. Yes. You call this protection. We call it responsibility. The commander turned to his officers, lowering his voice. Open a secure channel. Begin emergency protocols. Prepare countermeasures. An officer hesitated. Commander, they will detect it. They detect everything, the commander hissed. Do it anyway. As the officers moved, the human voice spoke again. Do not. The commander froze. You are attempting to signal your core fleets, the human said. We allow one message. The commander straightened. Allow? Yes. Why? So they understand, the human replied. This is not a battle. The commander considered his options. Pride screamed at him to resist. Strategy warned him that this moment would define more than a single fleet. What message? He asked carefully. The human paused. Tell them, it said, that humanity has ended its silence. The commander let out a bitter sound. And if they do not listen, then they will learn, the human replied. The commander gestured sharply. Send it. The message went out, compressed, encoded, stripped of emotional context. A simple warning that an unknown human force had disabled a Dominion fleet and demonstrated catastrophic capability. It would be believable. The commander knew that much. As the transmission ended, something unexpected happened. The human ships shifted, not into attack formation, into withdrawal. Several vessels disengaged and vanished into controlled distortions. Others remained, guarding the corridor, unmoving. The commander frowned. You are leaving? Some of us, the human replied. This fleet is no longer a threat. And if we attack again, then different ships will answer. The commander felt the balance of power slipping, not violently, but inevitably. You crippled us, he said. And now you walk away. Yes. Why spare us? The human voice softened, just slightly. Because your crews are not your decisions, it said. And because today is about memory, not punishment. The commander stared at the dark silhouette of the human warship. You think mercy will make us change, he said. No, the human replied. We think fear will make you hesitate. The remaining human ships began to fade, one by one, leaving the Dominion fleet adrift but alive. Only the first human warship remained. Remember this moment, the human said. Remember that the galaxy is not empty. Remember that some powers choose not to rule. The ship began to withdraw. The commander found his voice at last. Human, he called out. If we meet again, will you be so restrained? The human ship paused. The reply came quietly. That depends on what you choose to forget. Then it vanished. The Dominion fleet drifted in silence, surrounded by a galaxy that suddenly felt much larger and far more dangerous than it ever had before. For the first time, the Dominion understood that power was not what had stopped them. It was judgment. And next time, humanity might decide differently. The Dominion fleet drifted for 6 standard hours before full control returned. Engines came online slowly, as if space itself resisted their movement. Weapons systems rebooted last, their familiar hum returning without comfort. Every officer on every ship waited for an order that did not come. The commander remained silent. He stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the place where the human warship had vanished. Not a single trace remained. No energy echo. No distortion. As if it had never existed at all. But the missing moon said otherwise. So, one officer finally said, carefully, we survived. The word felt wrong. Yes, the commander replied. We survived. Another officer stepped forward. Corps Command has received our message. They are debating. The commander did not turn. Debating what? How seriously to take it? A bitter sound escaped him. They will take it seriously. They always do, after the cost is paid. The bridge fell quiet again. The Dominion had always believed hesitation was weakness. Decisive force was doctrine. Overwhelming violence ensured obedience. That belief had built their empire. And now, that belief has been exposed. Not shattered. Exposed. The commander turned slowly. Replay the encounter. All of it. Holographic projections filled the bridge. The arrival of the human ship. The loss of systems. The moon folding into nothing. The calm voice. The restraint. Every detail was reviewed again and again. They never once escalated, an officer said. Even when we threatened them. They escalated, the commander replied. Just enough. A strategist spoke up. Commander, what if this is deception? A small force designed to scare us while their true numbers are limited. The commander considered it. That would be logical, he said. If we were facing ourselves. He gestured to the projection of the folded moon. That weapon was not built to intimidate. It was built to be precise. Precision takes time. Discipline. Long planning. He paused. Empires built on fear do not develop restraint like that. The word restraint lingered. The Dominion had never valued it. An alert chimed. Commander, incoming transmission. Priority channel. Corps Command. He straightened. Put it through. The faces of the Dominion High Council appeared. Ancient, hardened, confident by habit rather than certainty. You exceeded your authority, one counselor said immediately. You allowed an unknown force to disengage. The commander met their gaze. If I had not, we would not be speaking. You faced one ship, another said. You retreated. I faced a civilization, the commander replied. And I did not retreat. I survived. Murmurs rippled across the council. A civilization does not hide for centuries, a third counselor said. They grow, or they die. They hid, the commander said, because they learned what growth without control leads to. Philosophy, the first counselor snapped. Not strategy. The commander leaned forward. They did not threaten us with extinction. They threatened us with memory. That should concern you. Silence followed. Explain, the council demanded. They allowed us to live, the commander said. Not because they could not kill us, but because they wanted us to remember that they chose not to. One counselor scoffed. Mercy is manipulation. Yes, the commander agreed. And they are very good at it. The council exchanged looks. What do you propose? One finally asked. The commander took a breath. Caution. The word landed like a challenge. We fortify borders, he continued. We pause expansion. We gather intelligence. We do not provoke. And surrender initiative? Another counselor snapped. No, the commander said. We acknowledge a new variable. The council cut the channel without response. The commander exhaled slowly. They would not listen. Not yet. Across the galaxy, Other species had watched the encounter through fragments, rumors, and half-recorded civilian feeds. Stories spread faster than fleets ever could. The Dominion had been stopped. Not defeated. Stopped. On worlds that had lived under Dominion shadow for generations, something unfamiliar stirred. Hope. In hidden listening posts and deep space observatories, human ships watched reactions unfold. Not with satisfaction. With calculation. This is where it becomes dangerous, one human officer said quietly. The commander of the human task group nodded. Yes. Fear spreads faster than understanding. Will they attack again? They will test us, the commander replied. Not because they think they can win, but because they cannot accept restraint as power. The officer hesitated. And if they test too far? The commander looked at the star map. Countless worlds. Countless lives. Then we remind them why we waited so long to be seen. Back in Dominion space, the fleet limped home. Repairs were made. Systems analyzed. Engineers found nothing they could replicate. Human technology did not overpower Dominion systems. It bypassed assumptions. It did not fight the machine. It fought the doctrine. The commander was summoned to Core World shortly after arrival. The capital burned with familiar lights, its massive spires symbols of dominance built over centuries. He had once felt pride seeing them. Now, they felt fragile. In the council chamber, he stood alone. You will give a full account, the High Council ordered. He did. Every detail, every word spoken, every hesitation. When he finished, silence filled the chamber. They call themselves protectors, one counselor said at last. Yet they allow us to continue. Yes, the commander replied. Because they are confident. Confident in what? In themselves, he said. And in time. Another counselor leaned forward. Then we will not give them time. The commander stiffened. That would be a mistake. We will strike where they are absent. The counselor continued. We will force them to respond everywhere at once. The commander's voice hardened. That is exactly what they expect. Enough, the first counselor snapped. Your caution borders on fear. The commander met their gaze. Fear keeps you alive when certainty fails. The council dismissed him. As he left the chamber, the commander knew the truth. The Dominion would not stop. And humanity knew it. Across the stars, human fleets adjusted quietly. Not massing. Not threatening. Preparing. Because restraint, once revealed, becomes a burden. And the galaxy was about to learn what happened when patience ran out. The first strike did not come from the Dominion core. It came from the edges. A remote system. No strategic value. No major population centers. Only mining platforms, civilian traffic, and a single relay station that fed data into the wider galactic network. The Dominion task force arrived without announcement. They did not broadcast surrender demands. They did not posture. They acted exactly as they always had. Fast, decisive, overwhelming. Platforms burned. Ships were disabled or destroyed. The relay station was seized. And for the first time since the encounter in the corridor, the Dominion waited. They expected retaliation. It did not come. Hours passed. Then days. No human ships appeared. No warnings echoed across channels. No systems failed. Space remained quiet. The Dominion command interpreted the silence as weakness. They cannot be everywhere, the council declared. They showed strength once. Now they hide. The order was given. Test further. Across multiple sectors, Dominion forces pushed forward. Carefully at first, then with growing confidence. They targeted systems just outside the corridor humanity had protected. Always civilian-heavy. Always visible. The message was clear. If humans were guardians, let them prove it. Still, humanity did not respond. Among the Dominion fleets, morale surged. Crews whispered that the humans had been bluffing. That the folded moon had been a unique weapon, a final trick from a dying species. The Dominion commander who had first faced the humans watched the reports in silence. He did not share their confidence. They are measuring us, he said quietly to his officers. Not our strength. Our intent. What intent? One officer asked. How far we will go, the commander replied. Once we think no one is watching. On a quiet human observation vessel far beyond Dominion sensors, a different conversation took place. They're escalating, an analyst said. Slowly. Deliberately. The human commander nodded. As expected. No response yet, another asked. Not yet. People are dying. The commander closed his eyes briefly. Yes. The room fell silent. Humanity has learned restraint through loss. But restraint did not erase guilt. Every choice to wait carried a weight. We intervened too early, the commander said, and they claimed provocation. We intervened too late. And we become what we swore not to be, the analyst finished. The commander opened his eyes. Not yet, he repeated. One more test. The test came sooner than expected. A Dominion fleet moved into a system flagged long ago in human archives. It was not marked on any public map. No empire claimed it. But humanity remembered it. Decades earlier, a refugee armada had fled there, survivors of a species erased by Dominion expansion. Humans had guided them quietly, supplied them, hidden them. The system was not protected by weapons. It was protected by a promise. When Dominion warships arrived, the refugees panicked. Civilian vessels scattered. Emergency beacons screamed into the void. The Dominion commander overseeing the operation hesitated. This system is unlisted, he said. No resistance detected. Orders came from above. Proceed. The first shot was fired, and the silence ended. Human ships emerged across the system in perfect synchronization. Not dozens, hundreds. They did not appear near the Dominion fleet. They appeared between the fleet and the civilians. Shields flared. Weapons remained cold. The human command signal cut through every channel. This system is under human protection. The Dominion commander froze. Fire, he ordered. Dominion weapons lit space with violence. Human shields absorbed the barrage, not effortlessly, but completely. Energy bled away into controlled dispersal fields. Not a single civilian ship was touched. Human ships moved, not to attack the Dominion fleet, to separate it. Formation control vanished as Dominion vessels found themselves gently but irresistibly pushed apart by fields they could not counter. Ships were isolated, lines of fire broken. Human vessels slipped between them like currents in an ocean. This is your final warning, the human voice said. Withdraw. The Dominion commander snarled. You let us advance before. Why now? Because now, the human replied. Your intent is clear. What intent? The commander demanded. To see how much suffering you could cause before we answered. The human ships powered weapons. Not planet killers. Not fleet destroyers. Targeted systems. Command nodes. Weapon arrays. The Dominion fleet was dismantled in minutes. No ships exploded, but none could fight. As Dominion crews stared at dead consoles, human boarding craft arrived, not to conquer, but to evacuate civilians trapped in the system. Human medics treated alien wounded without distinction. The Dominion commander watched in disbelief as his enemies saved lives his empire had never valued. This is not war, he said bitterly. No, the human replied. This is judgment. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Humanity was not responding to territory. They were responding to behavior. Systems where the Dominion showed restraint were left alone. Systems where they did not were shielded, evacuated, or isolated. The Dominion tried to adapt. They began masking operations, using proxies, forcing subject species to act in their place. Human intelligence adapted faster. Human ships appeared wherever cruelty peaked. Not randomly. Precisely. Patterns emerged. The Dominion realized, too late, that they were no longer fighting fleets. They were being studied. The original Dominion commander was summoned again before the council. They are undermining us, a counselor hissed, turning the galaxy against us. No, the commander replied. We did that ourselves. They are just making it visible. We must strike decisively, another counselor said. Destroy a human ship. Prove they bleed. The commander looked at them. They already bleed. That's why they hesitate. The council ignored him. The order was given. A trap was set. False intelligence. A manufactured atrocity. A civilian system broadcast as under Dominion assault, then abandoned at the last moment. Human ships responded, and the Dominion struck with everything they had prepared. For the first time, human ships were hit. For the first time, a human vessel was destroyed. The explosion echoed across the system. Silence followed. On the human command vessel, the commander stared at the loss report. Crew status, all hands lost. No survivors. The room was very quiet. They knew what this was, an officer said softly. Yes, the commander replied. They volunteered. He straightened. Signal all task groups, he said. Phase restraint is over. The officer hesitated. And the cost? The commander looked at the star map again. Atrocities unchecked become permission, he said. We waited to be certain. He paused. Now we are. Across the galaxy, human ships shifted posture, not into attack formation, into enforcement. And the Dominion, celebrating its first human kill, did not yet realize what it had done. It had answered the only question humanity had been asking. Not whether the Dominion could be stopped, but whether it deserved to be. The shift was subtle. No grand announcement echoed across the stars. No declaration of war was broadcast. There was only a quiet change in how human ships moved, and in how the galaxy began to breathe. Where once human vessels had appeared sparingly, now they arrived with purpose. They did not flood systems. They did not overwhelm space lanes. Instead, they placed themselves at pressure points the Dominion had never bothered to defend: supply nexuses, command relays, transit corridors that fed entire sectors. The Dominion felt it within days. Convoys began arriving late. Orders arrived out of sequence. Fleets discovered that fuel shipments had been delayed not by attack, but by detour. Ships were forced into longer routes by invisible barriers that redirected traffic without damage. Human enforcement was not violent. It was inconvenient, frustrating, exhausting. A Dominion admiral slammed a claw into his command console. They are strangling us without firing a shot. Yes, his strategist replied grimly. And they are doing it legally. Legally, the admiral snarled. They are citing civilian safety protocols, trade accords, ancient non-aggression clauses. They're enforcing laws we forced the galaxy to sign. The admiral froze. Humanity was not inventing rules. They were using Dominion ones. Across dozens of systems, human envoys arrived, unarmed, calm, and painfully informed. They spoke to local governors, trade councils, and planetary elders. They did not promise protection. They offered a choice. You may remain under Dominion authority, the humans said, or you may request observation status. What does that mean? The governors asked. It means we watch, the humans replied. And if you are harmed, we intervene. Requests poured in. Worlds that had never dared speak began to file claims. Archived grievances. Recorded atrocities. Data logs hidden for generations. Human analysts listened. They cross-checked everything. When claims were verified, human ships repositioned. Dominion governors found their authority questioned not by rebellion, but by oversight. Humanity did not remove Dominion flags. They placed cameras beneath them. The psychological effect was devastating. Dominion commanders hesitated for the first time before issuing harsh orders. Every decision carried the risk of human attention. Every strike could invite intervention. Fear crept upward, from civilians to soldiers to admirals. And fear behaved differently when it belonged to those in power. The High Council convened in an emergency session. This is not warfare, one counselor spat. This is humiliation. They are dismantling our control without open conflict, another said. Our image is collapsing. We must reassert dominance, a third demanded. Publicly, decisively. The original commander stood at the edge of the chamber, silent until summoned. You warned us, a counselor said sharply. Now advise us. He stepped forward slowly. They are not attacking our fleets, he said. They are attacking our certainty. The council hissed in frustration. What do you propose? The lead counselor demanded. The commander met their gaze. You want to break their strategy? Force them into open war. Yes, the counselor said. At last. The commander shook his head. That is exactly what they prepared for. Then what? He hesitated. Change, he said quietly. The chamber erupted. Impossible. Unacceptable. We are the Dominion. The commander did not raise his voice. You are rulers because the galaxy believed resistance was pointless. Humanity has proven otherwise. Silence followed. The council dismissed him again. Orders went out. If humanity wanted oversight, the Dominion would give them chaos. Dominion forces began rapid, simultaneous operations across dozens of systems, too many for human fleets to cover quickly. Civilian populations were used as shields. False distress signals flooded space. Conflicting data overwhelmed monitoring networks. Human command rooms filled with alarms. They're saturating the field, an analyst reported. They're trying to overload our response capacity. The human commander nodded grimly. They've accepted our presence. So we respond? An officer asked. Yes, the commander said. But not everywhere. Human fleets are divided. Some moved openly, visibly intercepting Dominion forces and shielding civilians. Others vanished entirely. The Dominion did not notice those. They were too busy watching the obvious battles. Ones where human ships took damage, where shields strained, where crews worked to exhaustion to hold lines without escalation. The galaxy watched those battles closely. Human ships burned. Human crews died. But they did not retreat. They held positions long enough for evacuations, long enough for relief, long enough for proof. Then the invisible fleets arrived. Deep within Dominion-controlled space, core logistics hubs failed, quietly. Command AIs froze mid-calculation. Data archives corrupted themselves into uselessness. No explosions. No debris. Just absence. Dominion fleets began losing coordination not because they were attacked, but because their empire could no longer think fast enough. A counselor screamed as reports piled up. "We are blind." "No," a strategist corrected. "We are alone." The Dominion attempted a final show of force. They mobilized the Annihilator Array, a weapon designed to erase entire star systems as demonstration, not necessity. It had ended wars before they began. They selected a system already scarred by resistance. Human intelligence detected the activation instantly. On the human flagship, silence fell. "That weapon cannot be allowed to fire," an officer said. "It won't," the commander replied. "We'll need a full task force." "No," the commander said softly. "We'll need volunteers." A single human warship detached from the fleet. The same one that had spoken first. Scarred. Old. Steady. Its captain addressed the crew. "This mission has a low survival probability," he said. "You already know why." No one left. The ship slipped past Dominion defenses using methods no one but humans fully understood. Not speed, not stealth, but timing. It arrived as the array began charging. Dominion commanders detected it and laughed. "One ship again," they scoffed. "Fire everything." The human ship did not dodge. It accelerated straight toward the array. Weapons struck it. Shields flared and failed. Hull plating burned away. Fire spread through decks. Still it flew. Human engineers rerouted power manually. Human medics dragged the wounded aside. Human pilots held courses with failing thrusters. At the last moment, the ship collided with the array's core. Not a ramming attack. An insertion. The human ship detonated its reactor inside the array's containment field. The array collapsed in on itself. The resulting implosion did not destroy the system. It erased the weapon. Both vanished. Across the galaxy, Dominion sensors recorded the event. One human ship. One superweapon. Gone. Silence followed. Then human fleets transmitted a single message on every channel. "This is what enforcement looks like." The Dominion High Council stared at the data in horror. "They sacrificed a ship," one whispered. "No," another said slowly. "They sacrificed certainty." The original commander closed his eyes. Humanity had crossed the line they feared most. Not into rage. Into resolve. Across the galaxy, subject worlds saw the footage. Not propaganda. Raw feeds. Human crews dying to stop annihilation. Something fundamental shifted. Alliances formed overnight. Neutral worlds declared observation status. Dominion supply routes dried up as local governments delayed cooperation. The Dominion still had fleets. Still had weapons. But they had lost something far more dangerous. The belief that no one would stand in their way. And as the stars grew quieter under human watch, one truth became clear to every power in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer asking the Dominion to stop. They were deciding how far to let them fall. The galaxy did not cheer when the Annihilator Array vanished. It went quiet. Worlds that had lived under Dominion shadow for generations watched the recordings again and again. A single human warship, already burning, driving itself into a weapon meant to erase stars. No triumphant music. No heroic speech at the end. Just resolve. And then absence. In Dominion space, something broke. Not fleets. Not weapons. Confidence. Supply captains hesitated before undocking. Governors delayed orders, citing uncertainty. Military planners rewrote strategies that no longer made sense. The Dominion had been built on a simple truth. No one would ever pay the price to stop them. Humanity had paid for it. The High Council convened under emergency protocols. The chamber felt smaller than it once had. The walls, once symbols of eternal power, now felt like a trap. "They are bleeding," one counselor said, voice sharp with forced confidence. That ship proved it. Humans die like everyone else. Yes, another replied. And they choose to. That silence that followed was heavy. They will run out of ships, the first counselor insisted. Out of patience. Out of life. The original commander stood at the edge of the chamber, uninvited but present. He had not been dismissed this time. They won't, he said quietly. A counselor rounded on him. You are certain of that? Yes. Why? Because they are not fighting to win territory, the commander said. They are fighting to draw a line. And once drawn, another counselor asked. They will not move it, he replied. The council exchanged uneasy looks. Orders were issued anyway. If humanity wanted sacrifice, the Dominion would force more of it. A coordinated strike was planned, fast, brutal, and public. Multiple human-protected systems would be hit at once. Not border worlds. Not remote outposts. Symbolic ones. A refugee hub. A medical exchange station. A neutral council world under observation status. The message would be clear. Humanity could not save everyone. The attacks began simultaneously. Human monitoring systems screamed warnings. Analysts shouted coordinates. Command rooms flooded with data. We can't cover all of them, an officer said, voice tight. Not in time. The human commander closed his eyes. How many, he asked. 3 systems under direct fire. Civilian density is high. And our nearest assets? Scattered. We can fully defend one. Partially delay another. The third. He raised a hand. I know. The room waited. Humanity had prepared for this scenario. Simulated it. Argued over it. I'm afraid of it. This was the moment restraint finally demanded its full price. Prioritize evacuation over confrontation, the commander said. Delay where you can. Buy time. And the third system? Someone asked. The commander opened his eyes. We stand. The officer swallowed. With what? With what we have, the commander replied. A small task group was redirected. Too small to stop a full Dominion assault. Too visible to ignore. Their orders were simple. Arrive, broadcast protection status, and hold as long as possible. The Dominion fleet arrived first. Weapons flared. Orbitals burned. Panic spread across the surface. Then human ships emerged. Not enough. The Dominion commander leading the attack recognized the formation instantly. They came anyway, he murmured, even knowing they would lose. Fire, his superior ordered. Dominion weapons struck human shields. Energy bled away fast. Human ships maneuvered constantly, placing themselves between bombardment vectors and evacuation corridors. Transports fled the surface under cover of flickering shields. Human hulls cracked. Shields failing, a human officer reported. Reroute, the captain replied. Hold position. Another hit rocked the ship. Fire spread through the deck. Crew members were dragged clear as bulkheads sealed. Evacuation window closing, command reported. How long? The captain asked. 3 minutes. Then we give them 3 minutes, the captain said. One by one, human ships fell back, not retreating, but replacing each other in the line of fire. When one lost shields, another moved forward. When engines failed, thrusters fired manually. The Dominion commander watched in disbelief. They are rotating themselves into destruction, an officer said. Yes, he replied. So others can leave. The final transport cleared the atmosphere. Human command transmitted the signal. Evacuation complete. The human ships did not pull back. They surged forward. Not to win. To block pursuit. The Dominion fleet concentrated fire. Human ships died. Explosions tore through space. Wreckage scattered across orbital lanes. But no Dominion ship passed through. At last, only one human vessel remained, barely functional, drifting between the fleet and the fleeing civilians. The Dominion commander opened a channel. You have accomplished nothing, he said. Your people are dead. The reply came weak, distorted by damage. They lived, the human captain said. That was enough. The Dominion fired. The ship vanished in light. Across human command channels, confirmations arrived. System 1, civilians saved. System 2, partial losses, majority evacuated. System 3, total human task group lost. Civilian evacuation successful. The room was silent. The commander closed his eyes and bowed his head, not in defeat, but in acknowledgement. They did not hesitate. An officer whispered. No, the commander said. They understood. News spread across the galaxy faster than any fleet. Humans had not saved everyone, but they had chosen who to save and paid for it openly. The effect was immediate. Worlds under Dominion rule erupted in unrest. Not rebellion. Refusal. Dockworkers delayed shipments. Administrators stalled orders. Soldiers hesitated before firing. Not because they believed humans were invincible, because they believed humans were serious. The Dominion High Council received reports of civil noncompliance across dozens of systems. "This is unacceptable," a counselor shouted. "They are turning our own citizens against us." The original commander spoke again. "No," he said. "They are showing them an alternative." "Alternative to what?" Another demanded. "To obey without meaning." The council made its final decision. If humanity wanted to be the galaxy's shield, the Dominion would break that shield publicly. They authorized the activation of a classified contingency, an automated war doctrine designed for one purpose only: total suppression. Dominion fleets across the galaxy received sealed orders. No discretion, no delay, no negotiation. Human observation stations detected the shift instantly. "They're not targeting systems," an analyst said. "They're targeting us." "Everywhere," another added. Simultaneously, the human commander straightened. "This is it," he said. Human fleets repositioned, not defensively, but centrally. Lines of communication tightened. Reserves were pulled from hidden deep space vaults. The galaxy watched as two philosophies of power aligned for collision. The Dominion, built on certainty and fear. Humanity, built on restraint and choice. The commander addressed all human forces. "We did not seek this," he said, "but we will not step aside." He paused. "Remember why we stand. Remember who we stand for. And remember, our strength was never our weapons." Dominion fleets surged toward human positions across the stars. Human ships held their ground. And as the first volleys of the largest confrontation in galactic history began to form, one truth became unavoidable. This war would not decide who ruled the galaxy. It would decide what the galaxy believed was worth dying for. And humanity was about to prove that belief, once awakened, could not be bombarded into silence. The first shots of the final confrontation did not light the stars. They dimmed them. Across multiple sectors, Dominion fleets advanced in perfect synchronization. Not reckless, not chaotic. This was the full expression of an empire that had never accepted limits. Their doctrine was simple: overwhelm every human position at once, break coordination, shatter morale, and remind the galaxy what dominance looked like. Human sensors tracked it all. Human commanders did not panic. They expected this. Contact confirmed across all fronts, an analyst reported. Enemy numbers exceed projections. The human commander nodded slowly. "They always do." "The probability of holding every position is low," another officer said. "We are not holding positions," the commander replied. "We are holding meaning." The first clashes erupted near a densely populated neutral system. Dominion fleets arrived in crushing numbers, weapons already firing. Human ships were there first, not in attack formation, but in layers, shields overlapping, covering evacuation corridors. Dominion fire tore into them. Human shields failed one by one. Ships fell back, rotated, returned. Damaged vessels stayed in the line until engines died completely, then drifted, still blocking paths with their wreckage. Civilians fled. The galaxy watched. On another front, far from any civilian presence, human fleets behaved differently. They did not hold ground. They advanced. Not toward Dominion ships. Toward Dominion command nodes. Precision strikes disabled coordination relays, then vanishes. Fleets found themselves advancing without updated orders, firing on targets that no longer mattered. Dominion commanders screamed for clarity. None came. The Dominion High Council watched feeds pour in, voices overlapping, confidence evaporating. "They're not fighting us head-on," one counselor shouted. "They're everywhere and nowhere," another cried. The original commander stood silently among them. "You wanted total suppression," he said quietly. "This is the cost." "Silence," the lead counselor snapped. "We still have numbers. We still have power." "Yes," the commander agreed. "But they have something else." "What?" the council demanded. He looked at the screen, at human ships burning to protect evacuations, at others striking deep and disappearing. "They have consent," he said. "Across the galaxy, worlds made choices. Some opened their ports to fleeing civilians. Some denied Dominion resupply requests. Some broadcast human evacuation routes instead of Dominion commands. Not rebellion. Alignment. Humanity had never asked for loyalty. They had earned trust. The turning point came in a system neither side had planned to matter. A small star. Sparse population. No strategic value. But it sat at the crossroads of three major Dominion supply routes. Dominion fleets moved to secure it automatically. Human ships arrived at the same time. The engagement was brutal. No civilians. No evacuations. No restraint left to demonstrate. For the first time, human ships fought to disable fleets completely. Dominion vessels were torn apart, not through overwhelming fire, but cascading system failures triggered by human precision attacks. Engines overloaded. Power grids collapsed inward. Fleets fell apart from the inside. Within hours, the crossroads was blocked by wreckage. Dominion supply lines fractured. Across multiple fronts, Dominion fleets began to slow, not because they were losing battles, but because they were running out of coherence. The High Council issued its final order. Deploy everything. Reserve fleets. Planetary defense arrays. Ancient weapons kept dormant because even the Dominion feared them. The galaxy held its breath. Human intelligence detected the shift immediately. On the human flagship, the commander stood alone for a long moment. Signal all forces, he said at last. The channel opened. Human ships, human crews, human voices from across the stars. This is the final phase, the commander said. The Dominion has chosen annihilation over change. He paused. We will stop them. Another pause. And then we will stop. Officers exchanged glances. Clarify, one asked. We will not replace them, the commander said. We will not rule. We will end their ability to impose certainty through fear. Dominion's superweapons powered up across multiple systems. Human response was immediate. Not fleets. Networks. Human ships synchronized across distances that should not have allowed it. Energy flowed not into weapons, but into space itself, folding, stabilizing, redirecting. When the Dominion fired, their weapons did not detonate where intended. Beams curved. Explosions dispersed harmlessly into controlled voids. Planet-killing energy was unraveled mid-flight. Dominion engineers screamed in disbelief. This violates every known principle, one shouted. No, another whispered. It uses them. Humanity was not overpowering physics. They were cooperating with it. One by one, Dominion's superweapons failed, not explosively, but quietly, their internal systems rendered inert, their purpose erased. The last functioning Dominion command fleet attempted retreat. Human ships closed in, not to destroy, but to surround. The original Dominion commander watched the feeds with hollow eyes. It's over, he said. The High Council refused to accept it. We still have worlds, a counselor shouted. We still have authority. No, the commander replied. You have memories. And the galaxy remembers now. A human transmission cut through every channel. Not a threat. An offer. This conflict ends now, the human commander said. Stand down. Power down. No further loss of life is required. The council hesitated. Fear warred with pride. Then something unexpected happened. Dominion fleet commanders began to comply. One by one. Not out of fear of destruction, but because they could no longer justify continuing. Orders were ignored. Weapons powered down. Fleets drifted. The High Council screamed for obedience. None came. The Dominion surrendered. Not in a grand ceremony. In silence. In the days that followed, the galaxy changed. Human ships did not occupy worlds. They did not install governors. They did not rewrite borders. They withdrew. Observation stations remained. Patrols monitored transit lanes. Human envoys assisted in rebuilding logistics, restoring communications, and, most importantly, documenting history. Tribunals were held, not by humans, but by coalitions of affected species. Human observers attended. They did not judge. They made sure judgment happened. The Dominion did not vanish. It fractured. Its worlds chose paths independently, some reforming, some isolating, some seeking alliance with former subjects. And humanity? Human fleets pulled back into the quiet between stars. The human commander stood once more before his officers. We are done, he said. An officer asked the question many were thinking. Will they try again? The commander nodded. Someday. Someone always does. And then, he said, they will remember. Far out in the trade corridor where it had all begun, a monument was built, not by humans, but by those who had watched. It bore no flags, no symbols of empire, only words, translated into every known language. They were underestimated. They were patient. They stood. Travelers paused there often, not in fear, in reflection, because the galaxy had learned a truth it could never unlearn. Power that demands obedience will always face resistance. But power that chooses restraint and pays its price openly changes what everyone believes is possible. And humanity, once forgotten, had become something far more dangerous than conquerors. They had become an example. The stars would never forget that.